Hello, my name is Sharif Blackwell.
Pleasure, Dr. Argie Allen Wilson.
Pleasure to meet you. Sharif Blackwell.
Morgan Wilson, Sharif. Nice
Okay,
to meet you, brother.
let's meet you. So, we're here to talk about prostate cancer. We want to know why men don't get checked for prostate cancer and why it's not being publicized throughout our community, the importance of being checked for prostate cancer. Doc, can you please shed some light on that for me, please?
Well, one of the things, and thank you for the question, and thank you for your commitment to the messaging in our community. I believe that a lot of times that, we lack knowledge. And when we lack knowledge, we lack power, especially in our community. And so when we think about prostate cancer, even all the big C's, if you will, a lot of the connection or the correlation to not getting tested or more black people dying at higher levels due to prostate cancer, specifically men, is related to the lack of screenings and the lack of going to the doctor. And I know your numbers is coming up.
Yes.
And also the type of screening. And I think Morgan can speak to this more than I can with regards to the resistance of the digital exam and the stigma that's attached to that. And so if we don't have buy-in around how this is going to save the lives of men and boys perhaps, then who could potentially be the next responsible person for curing cancer, then we're not doing our job. So it's the messaging.
Okay.
Well, I truly believe your health is your wealth.
Yes, sir.
As a man. And so I think sometimes it's all about how you position it and how you express it to a man. If you could put it in that framework, then maybe many women might understand it and actually have a more positive reaction and response to it. But as a man, if I'm responsible for my family, then I have to take care of my health. Okay. If I don't take care of my health, I can't be here for my family. I can't be a producer. I can't be a provider, protector. I can't do any of it. And so for me, health is very important for me to be here. And quite frankly, you can take it from a very selfish point of view. I want to be in good shape. I want to have a better quality of life. So for that, with all the new technology and medicine and so forth, why not avail myself of it to make sure that I take advantage of it? And I understand the digital exam is quite, invasive for sure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But it's like anything else. You got to get over it.
Okay.
And move on because it's a medical situation. So for me, it's all about being there for my family and doing whatever I can do to make sure I'm here and I'm showing up at my best.
So, we go to the barbershop, we sit around with the fellas, and we have conversations about the girls and about the games and what the Eagles got, why didn't they keep Swift and all this other stuff. But when we bring up a subject like this, of prostate cancer, everybody shuns away from it. And then when you try to talk about it, people don't want to hear it. But it's so important because we are dying, and when we put it out there, this is the second deadly disease amongst men that is killing us. And when we say this to men, well, we gotta die from something. So why not that? What you mean? Then that means you're going to love your family. Because if you love your family, you will try to be here for your family. I just wanted to ask you, have you ever been tested?
Absolutely. I have a test annually.
And
I test not even during the time of know your numbers.
Okay.
I just test for me, it's an educational piece. I educated myself on it. I know a bunch of brothers in my age and demographic that have had prostate cancer, have done well. My father-in-law had prostate cancer years ago. This is talking about over 20 years ago, I would imagine.
Almost 30.
Almost 30 years ago. So
he's still here.
He's still here, and he's in his 80s.
Okay.
So this is something that personally for me, I know a lot of brothers who've experienced it, gone through it, and doing well. My spiritual father, Gene Austin Jefferson, went through it himself, doing well. I mean, so if you catch it early enough, it's all about education for me. If you educate a brother and share the information with him, even if you may have that initial reaction, well, I got to die from something.
Right.
Well, that's more of a reaction of a guy that's not informed.
and
because
fear.
because if I asked him, what does he do for a living? He'll go through a litany of all the things
Right,
he does.
right,
There's all kind of continual education. If he's a
Right,
skilled worker,
right.
if he's a lawyer, whatever you do, that's why I say equate it to health is your wealth. If you put a monetary thing around it, most often, most guys, quite frankly, they'll want to stay ignorant about it. They will understand that concept and connect the dots and be more amenable and to understand it and then take the first step. That's the key thing. Take the first step, get educated, get more information, and then from there, once you educate yourself on something, you tend not to be afraid of it.
Okay.
And then you can move forward.
Yes, sir. So when I go to the doctors, right, I look around the doctor's office. I see breast cancer. I see you take this AIDS pill, this blue pill, so you can't detect AIDS. And I'm looking, I don't see nothing at all dealing with prostate cancer. I don't see a pamphlet. I don't see a picture. I don't see nothing. And when I turn the TV on, I see the same thing. I don't see none of that. And it's like, how can we get educated if the doctor's office or the subways, the buses, the commercials, it's not pushing it out there for us? How would you be able to be knowledge on it?
Well,
Can you, hold on, I gotta hold you. Doc, can you explain that to me, please?
Well, when we talk about messaging, oftentimes for our community, we are looking for the professional to educate us.
Yes.
And I think that's relevant. But I think what's more relevant is for us to begin the process of educating ourselves, because we live in an era where we go to Dr. Google for almost anything. Now, I'm not recommending you go to the internet for every piece of information, but the information is absolutely out there for us. And we have to share this information with one another. Quite frankly, you just talked about men being in the barbershop. I think each one teaches one, each one reaches one, and together we then elevate each other. And so, yes, should it be in the doctor's office? Absolutely, absolutely. But that becomes problematic because there needs to be more people who are practitioners that look like you and I and Morgan, so that if you invest in us, then you get the best of us. The investment in us is to educate us holistically and comprehensively. So the question is, what doctor's office are you going to be in? Because if you're in the doctor's office with some that look like us, then they absolutely need to be investing in the community by sharing the messaging and not getting caught up in the amount of time, quite frankly, that you're in that space.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense. And I really, myself as well, I had my prostate test. And the doctor wanted to test me, but didn't tell me why he tested. He just said, you at that age, let's get it done. And I'm like, okay, oh, but why are you testing me this? But didn't really give me
Giving
the knowledge
the context, the
of
information.
It. You wanted to do it, but you didn't give me all follow up and say, this is why A, B, C, D. You didn't get that. So it makes me upset, like, y'all want to do this, but y'all not sharing to us or giving us facts of why we should do it. And then one time I went to the doctors and I asked the doctor, can I get tested? They said, you're not at that age yet.
Well, see, here's the thing about the baseline, right? There is a protocol for these screenings at baseline. The challenge with the baseline is that the BIPOC community, Black men and women, are dying at higher rates because oftentimes they say this is your baseline. But if you have, they don't go the next step, which is that if you have a history, if it's in your genealogy, if there's a thread or a trend within your family system, then that then should decrease your baseline and it makes you at higher risk. If you're at higher risk, then you should get those screening early on, because by the time you get a screening, it might be too late for prostate cancer.
Whew, you're making me hot. I'm like, because it's like, I don't know my family history. So if I'm going in with a doctor, I'm saying, Doc, you're a doctor. Doc, I don't know my family history about any illness. You talk diabetes, heart disease, prostate cancer, colon cancer. I don't know. So if I'm going in, I'm lack of knowledge of my family history because my father or mom or aunties, uncles never sat down and really talked to us about what's really important. Until we find out later what he died from, what she died from. We find out later. And I'm like, well, why not educate us? And our parents take stuff to their grave. And then we find out later, yeah, my heart troubles, and then they investigate. Oh, your mom had it, your dad had it. It's genetic. Well, why nobody didn't, say this to us?
Well, it's two things. First of all, I wanted to say earlier, I want to commend you for doing it. You said, how can we do it? How can we change? And you felt you was making a point that it wasn't information in the doctor's offices, it wasn't around. But what you're doing right here, it's adding to that. It's helping that along, making this documentary, putting forth this message, is you're adding to that. So you're actually pushing that along. And I want to commend you for it. But my wife is a psychologist, and part of being a psychologist is a doctor. She's not a medical doctor, but psychologist is really going and unpacking the history, genealogy, your family, your background. So very much similar to what she does as a profession, is a medical doctor is going to ask you the question, what about your mom? Do you know that information? By asking those questions, you may not have the answer to it. But then now that puts you in a mind frame, let me go search and get the answer from whoever living. My aunt died or whoever it may be,
Yes,
Uncle Sam or, my Uncle Dudley or whoever it's going to be. Hey, what's going on? What happened? And kind of push it a little bit and get them to talk and give you the information that you desperately need so you can live healthier and be a better you. That's important.
So, I'm funny you said that. I had this on my mind for 20 years about this prostate cancer. But I felt like nobody wanted to listen to me. Because when I shared it, I got shut down. When I went to the barbershop and said, let's talk about it, they was like, man, we don't want to talk about that. So I got shut down. But as I got older, I got the fear out of me. And I asked God, I'm holding on to something that I need to let it out. And I need to bring it to everybody of my vision, what I saw, what God showed me in my dream, to put together this play, movie, film, documentary, whatever it is, on prostate cancer, and to bring it to life, and to start talking about it more. Because if I don't, then there's brothers out here that's going to be dying. And I could have been the one that really brought awareness to them of my journey that I saw, that God gave me the vision to see. So as I'm doing that now, men know your numbers in April the 20th. We are going to show it there for everyone to see.